Today, with a little bit of rough cedar and a pressure-treated 4x4, we're going to make a raised planting bed so that we can plant some vegetables. Should be a pretty simple project, but a very fun one. Let's get started. The first step is cutting all the cedar to length. To do this, we've set up a stop block on the miter saw so that we can make the same length cut over and over again without having to measure. And then we pre-drill and countersink all the screws. We're using a Titebond exterior wood glue here since it's going outside. And we use a clamp to get everything started, and then using exterior screws we screw it together. This cedar was a little warped, so I had to pull it into place with the clamp to finish screwing it. We repeat on the other end, plus we put a center divider halfway down the middle. Now we add these boards on the bottom of the planter. These will make sure our dirt stays in. We've gapped them to let a little water out. We're also gluing and screwing these with exterior screws. Now we're going to cut our legs to length. We're using pressure-treated 4x4s. If you had cedar 4x4s, you could do this as well, but I didn't. I had the pressure-treated though. The 4x4s are going to attach to the box via a half lap. To make a half lap, you take off half the thickness of the 4x4 at the top of the 4x4 where it meets the box. The tool I'm using for this is called a radial arm saw. This is a tool you don't see used very often anymore. With the invention of the sliding compound miter saw, this tool has gone out of favor, but it works great for half laps. So I know what you're saying. Tinkerer, I don't have a radial arm saw. How am I going to make half laps? Don't worry, you can do the same thing with a circular saw. All that's required to make a half lap is that you set the blade at the proper depth and make a whole bunch of cuts side by side. Once that's done, just take your hammer and knock out all the loose pieces. Now I'm cleaning it up with a chisel, making sure everything is flat. I'm going to add a decorative chamfer to the top with my miter saw. Then it's time to attach the leg to the planter box. We first make sure it's square to the bottom, and then we tack it in place with a couple of finish nails. From this angle, you can see why they call it a half lap. The post halfway laps over the box. To really make it secure, we're going to put some carriage bolts in it. These are 3/8 carriage bolts. We've drilled our holes and now we're going to bang them in. We'll put nuts and washers on the inside. The center posts I can't get a bolt on because of the divider, so I just used some exterior screws. To line the bottom of our planter box, we're going to use this landscaping fabric. It'll keep the soil in, but it'll let the water drain through. And after getting it all laid out, we come back and we staple it every few inches, taking the slack out as we go. Now to cover up the top edge, we've cut some more cedar and we've mitered the corners. We're just affixing it with some finish nails. And the last piece covers our center divider. We've flipped the planter up on edge, and using a sharp utility knife, we're cutting off the excess landscape fabric. And here we have the finished product. It's all planted with a bountiful harvest, hopefully in its future. Well, that raised planting bed turned out great. I've planted some tomatoes and cucumbers and lettuce and okra and peppers. I can't wait to see what comes up. Now, as far as the dirt that I put in it, I'm no gardening expert, but the topsoil that they sell at the big box stores is no more than just bark mulch in a bag. It's no soil involved hardly. So after talking to some experts in the garden center, they recommended I do a 50% topsoil and 50% manure compost mix. So that's what I did. I got 3 bags of each because my box holds roughly 6 cubic feet and each bag is 1 cubic foot. I mixed them together 50-50 and they seem to be working great. The compost manure mix is really moist and looks very fertile, and then the topsoil kind of helps it go further. The topsoil is much cheaper than the compost mix. So that's what I did. I've been really pleased with it. It's been several weeks since I got the plants planted and they are growing like crazy. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it helped you out, and I hope to see you next time.